Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into the sources on a topic to pull out what you really need to know.
And today, we're tackling something big.
Literally. We're talking about thinking big, that mindset of huge ambition, especially when it comes to wealth and business.
Right. And, well, you can't really discuss large-scale ambition, particularly in real estate, without mentioning Donald J. Trump.
Exactly. Love him or hate him, his career is kind of synonymous with massive projects.
Operating on a scale few others even attempt.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, to explore this think big, act bigger idea through the lens of Trump's experiences. We'll look at unlimited thinking.
Embracing risk, definitely.
Yeah, the role of vision, persistence, and crucially, what lessons, if any, you can maybe pull out for your own financial life.
And we're grounding this in a few specific sources. We've got insights from a YouTube video, another Donald Trump Top 10 Rules for Success,
Okay.
a transcript from another one called Modern Wealth Mindset, which focuses right on his thinking, and also a summary of his famous book, The Art of the Deal.
Got it. Okay, let's get right into it then. The foundation seems to be this concept of unlimited thinking.
Right.
Our sources really emphasize how Trump's ambitions were just different from the get-go. The Modern Wealth Mindset video says he pictured entire skylines, not just, single buildings.
And that's a key distinction, isn't it? While maybe others were focused on steady, incremental steps.
Yeah, the safe route.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He seemed to operate without those kinds of self-imposed ceilings. It wasn't just wanting more, it was seeing possibilities where others saw limits, especially in real estate.
And Trump Tower is like the prime example of this.
Absolutely.
That Modern Wealth Mindset piece calls it risky, expensive, with that very distinctive gold design. It wasn't just a building, it was a statement.
Well, it challenged the norms, didn't it? The location, super high profile, the sheer scale, the look of it. It all screamed, we're not just playing in the New York market, we're defining it.
And the Art of the Deal summary backs this up, right? Saying he wanted to shift from his family's focus on, affordable homes
Right. Functional housing.
to these super luxurious developments in central Manhattan, building iconic structures to literally change the skyline.
And you see that same kind of big thinking pop up elsewhere, too.
Like casinos.
Casinos, sports teams, even just building his personal brand. He wasn't afraid to jump into really different, really competitive fields and aim high.
So there's a pattern there.
Definitely. The scale of ambition is the constant thread. It suggests this really deep belief in his own ability to pull off things that would, frankly, seem overwhelming to most people.
There's that quote in one of the YouTube videos. He says something like, I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
I'm the biggest developer in New York. I love building buildings. I do it for fun. I do it for game. I do it for sport. I happen to make a lot of money doing it. What do you make of that?
Well, putting aside the confidence, it really points to passion as a driver. He's saying money isn't the only goal, maybe not even the main one.
Interesting.
Which suggests, if you're pursuing something you genuinely love, you're probably going to put in more effort, more dedication.
Which makes success more likely.
Potentially, yeah. It reframes the whole motivation.
So that internal drive, the love for the game, seems tied into this unlimited thinking. And the Art of the Deal summary talks about legacy too, right? Creating something enduring.
Exactly, these landmark buildings.
So for you listening, maybe the question is, are your financial goals connected to something you're actually passionate about?
Could thinking bigger in an area you enjoy unlock more creative and ultimately maybe more rewarding paths?
Yeah.
It's about finding where passion and potential meet.
Okay, so think big.
Yeah.
That naturally leads to act bigger, which brings us straight to leverage, debt.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Trump's use of debt. It's a huge part of his story.
And as the Modern Wealth Mindset transcript points out, it often runs counter to, typical financial advice, using massive leverage for rapid expansion. Why was that so key for him?
Well, it's high risk, high reward, basically. In a booming market, leverage can amplify your returns enormously.
But it also amps up the risk if things go south. It's that double-edged sword, isn't it?
Precisely. The Art of the Deal summary notes he understood that in real estate, specifically, borrowed money could seriously boost returns.
So the strategy was grab prime spots, get big loans, build fast.
Yeah, execute quickly to ride those market waves. It let him control assets far larger than his own capital would allow on its own.
The Modern Wealth Mindset video notes that traditional financial advisors would probably cringe at this. How does this compare to, say, the advice most people get?
Well, standard advice is usually about minimizing debt, right? reduce your risk.
Keep it manageable.
Trump's approach flips that. Debt becomes a tool for acceleration. But, and this is important, it wasn't just borrowing wildly.
Right.
The Art of the Deal summary clarifies this. It mentions his skill in using bank loans strategically, when it made sense, but also using things like public bond offerings.
Okay, so spreading the risk.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Raising money from lots of investors reduces his personal exposure. So it's calculated. It wasn't just reckless borrowing.
So it's not just the amount of debt, but how it's structured and managed.
Exactly. The takeaway for you isn't necessarily go get huge loans.
Probably not.
But it's recognizing that leverage, if used strategically with deep understanding and risk assessment, can be a powerful growth tool. But, it requires expertise and a stomach for risk.
Which naturally leads us to the flip side, the risk-reward balance and, well, failures. Because when you operate at that scale,
things can go wrong. Big time. The Modern Wealth Mindset video is direct about this. It brings up the casino bankruptcies in the early 90s.
Right. A clear example of the downside.
Absolutely. Of that high leverage, think big strategy. What can we learn when things don't work out?
Well, the video seems to frame it not as proof that thinking big is flawed, but as a consequence of playing at such a high-risk level. Aim high, and the potential fall is also higher.
That's a really key point. It's about the trade-off, but then the focus shifts to how you respond to failure.
Resilient.
Exactly. Both YouTube sources hammer this home. Mental fortitude, resilience, that ability to learn, pivot, and maybe come back even bolder.
The Top 10 Rules video had that line, never ever quit, even when it seems like there is no chance. That persistence really stands out.
And there's that other quote in the same video about the harder you work, the luckier you get. He talks about navigating that debt crisis in 1990.
Yeah, when he said his friends and enemies were going bankrupt.
Right, while he managed to survive. What does that resilience tell us about this whole mindset?
It suggests the big vision alone isn't enough. You need the mental toughness to match.
To push through setbacks, maybe even find opportunities in them. Don't let the bumps derail the whole journey.
So, for you, the listener, maybe the insight is, bigger goals mean bigger risks, potentially bigger setbacks.
And the crucial part is building that resilience. Seeing failures as data points, as learning opportunities, not dead ends. How can you build your mental fortitude for your financial journey?
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Beyond the deals and the debt, there's this element of vision and unwavering conviction.
Yes, another cornerstone. The Modern Wealth Mindset video talks about his innate ability to see potential where others didn't. Overlooked properties, struggling industries.
It's not just seeing current value, it's picturing a totally different future for an asset.
A transformed future, exactly, even if it wasn't obvious at the time.
The examples they use, like turning the old Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt.
Or Mar-a-Lago's transformation.
These weren't just paint jobs, they were total reimaginings. What does it take to see things that way?
It seems to be a mix of foresight, understanding the market, and just being willing to go against the grain.
Looking past the now.
And seeing a much more valuable what could be. And, critically, the Modern Wealth Mindset source says this vision comes with almost unparalleled conviction in his own judgment.
Yeah.
Why is that conviction so vital?
It feels like the engine, doesn't it? It lets him push these massive projects forward, even with tons of skepticism.
Right, and inspire the teams to actually build them.
And the video distinguishes this from just being optimistic. It calls it a deeply ingrained belief in the outcome.
Like a certainty, which fuels the action. The Art of the Deal touches on this too, his early visions for projects that seemed like long shots at the time.
Even branching out, like trying to take on the NFL with the USFL. That was a bold vision, huge risk.
Definitely fits the pattern.
So for our listeners, how do you cultivate that stronger vision for your finances? How do you build that belief in achieving your goals, even when doubts creep in?
Well, it probably starts with getting really clear on what success looks like for you.
Yeah.
What are those big aspirations? Then it's about building that deep belief that you can get there through learning, planning, commitment.
Yeah.
Even when you hit roadblocks.
Okay, which brings us nicely to the final section, actionable lessons. What can you, listening now, take away from this think big, act bigger idea for your own modern wealth mindset?
The Modern Wealth Mindset video actually lays out some good starting points. First, challenge your limits.
So instead of just, can I afford this?
Ask, how can I afford this? Or maybe something even bigger. It's about pushing past those initial mental blocks.
Okay, what's next?
Second, embrace calculated risks, not reckless gambling, but understanding that smart investments, in yourself, your business, researched opportunities can potentially bring much bigger rewards than always playing it safe.
Assess the risk intelligently. Don't just avoid it. Makes sense.
Third, develop your vision. We just talked about this. Clearly picture your financial end goals, early retirement, that dream house, whatever it is, and then work backward. Create that roadmap. Cultivate resilience. Know that setbacks will happen. So how will you bounce back? How will you learn and adapt when things inevitably go off script? Plan for the recovery.
And finally,
Leverage wisely. Understand debt as a potential tool for growth funding. A side hustle, maybe a strategic mortgage. But distinguish that sharply from using debt for just, lifestyle spending.
right, growth versus consumption. And it's important, as the video stresses, this isn't about mimicking Trump's personality.
Not at all. It's about adopting the philosophy, pushing beyond your comfort zone towards bigger financial possibilities.
And the Art of the Deal summary has that practical exercise too, setting a Trump-sized goal.
Yeah, something that feels maybe out of reach right now. Owning a home, launching that business idea.
Breaking it down.
Exactly, into smaller, manageable steps.
Yeah.
Makes the big vision less intimidating and gives you concrete things to do now.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive on Think Big, Act Bigger, maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Now that you've explored this idea, this ambitious mindset, what's one area in your own life, career, investments, personal goals where applying this principle might help you achieve something truly significant?
How could challenging your assumptions, daring to think just a bit bigger, maybe unlock possibilities you haven't even considered yet?